We'll start with Pearl. We obviously interviewed Ty West for this movie. Mia Goth, the star, trapped on her family's isolated farm, Pearl must tend to her ailing father under the bitter and overbearing watch of her devout mother. Lusting for the glamorous life that she's seen in the movies, Pearl's ambitions, temptations, and repressions all collide. Obviously, a standalone prequel to X, which we thought was phenomenal. I forget, Chris, were you with us when we did the review of X? I think so, right?
Actually, no, I never saw X.
Okay.
That was I can't remember when it was X March. Was that when it came out?
Around there. It was,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
early
remember the
summer, late
exact.
spring.
I can't remember the event that caused me to miss that. But no, I never saw nor reviewed X.
Gotcha. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one thing that works, at least in your case, is that Pearl is a good standalone movie. Like
Right,
Ty
because it's
was,
prequel. Yeah.
yeah, like he was intending the entire time. This movie, me and Jeff went and saw a screen over it a while ago, and I was immediately like, this is already one of the best horror movies of the year, and off of a great horror sort of little break, because we got that and Barbarian back to back in weeks.
Been a great year for horror.
Some awesome horror movies, and also I got the Hellraiser fucking screener burning a hole in my Gmail right now.
But yeah.
We'll get there. I heard first half's okay, the second half is awesome. But yeah, so Pearl, I think that if you're talking about this movie, it's impossible not to just be like, just to talk about how Mia Goth absolutely crushed it, like Oscar level, like fucking insanely good performance, and then something that you wouldn't expect just based off of what happened in the movie X, I guess, too, where it's just like you wouldn't.
It's very separated from X.
Exactly. It's totally separated from that. And I think that this movie was awesome. Mia Goth crushed every single second of it. I like how it was very different from X in a lot of ways. X was more of like a traditional-ish slasher. This is definitely way less blood and way more anxiety, almost in like, and I think I talked about this in a review of him, like way more Ari Aster-ish, where it's like, we're not going to blood you to death. It's like, we're going to make you feel tension and like make you want to like fucking hyperventilate and stuff. A lot of amazing scenes in this movie. I would say that long take, 8-minute or 9-minute monologue that Mia Goth delivered with no cuts, absolutely insane, like one of the best movie moments of the year. And when we talked to Ty West about it, he said she did it in 4 takes, which is just insane. A lot of cool stuff in this movie, like adding Germans to anything makes it more scary inherently. The lady who played her mom was actually like, keep referencing their interview, but like that was the intimacy coordinator from X that he then hired to be in this movie, which is also insane. A lot of cool table setting. Really looked like the early 1900s. That town they built for the set or whatever, like that looked like an early 1900s town. And this is New Zealand, and it looked like America. And like just a lot of stuff super impressive about this. I think most of it just comes from Mia Goth really just destroying the role of Pearl and delivering some moments that are some of the best horror moments of this year and maybe of even beyond. But Chris, I'm giving it a 90 out of 100. Chris, what do you think?
I thought it was okay. I'm with you on Mia Goth's performance. I mean, I think that was, I'm not going to give it, an Oscar or anything, but I thought it was, very effective. Ty West is very clearly an excellent director. And I think that very often, like, people associate bad films with bad directors, good films with good directors. That's not always the case. Like, you can dislike something and acknowledge how good it looks. My big issue, outside of the fact that I thought, per usual, the movie got remarkably repetitive, is that when you're making a movie like this, in which your protagonist is inherently, scarred, very unlikable, they need to have a certain charm that allows you to kind of carry you across the finish line. The prime example I always used is like, Patrick Bateman is the biggest bastard of all time, but I love American Psycho because Christian Bale is so good and his performance is so amazing. The character of Pearl, I think, works way better just in small sample sizes because the movie did get to a point where she was annoying the shit out of me. And I felt bad for her and I understood what she was going through. But it's one of those movies that probably when I watched it, I didn't care for it that much. As time has gone on, it's hard for me to really give it a rating, but I think that of the horror movies that we reviewed, over the last several months, which is weird. This is the third one that we've done really in the last month or two. I like it more than Bodies. I like it substantially less than Barbarian. Barbarian fucks. I'm still amazed at how much I like that movie. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say. I think you have a good performance, you have a good director, a character that I couldn't really latch on to, and ultimately a story that I found relatively unengaging. But before we get to Gooch here, do you guys like it more or less than X? Because I will see X. And when I found out this was a prequel, I intentionally avoided seeing it because I wanted to come in with fresh eyes. Do you think it's better or worse?
I like it more, but it might just be my taste, because this definitely
They're very different.
It's more of a character drama than anything.
Okay. Yeah, I know. That's kind of the impression I got. What about you, Kendra?
So I think I rated them both a 90. So like I like them both, but for very different reasons because they are very, very different horror movies, which I think is kind of awesome. If that makes sense. Again, like X more of a traditional slasher. And I don't know if you knew this, by the way. So Mia Goth in X, she plays totally different character in X, but also plays the same character but dressed up like an older person. So like she's all over the place in these. It's insane.
Yeah, I did know that. I did know that coming into the movie as well.
Yeah. So like I would say that like I like them both, but again for very sort of different reasons. And I don't know. I really dug both of them a lot. But Gooch, what do you think?
This movie, let me get it off the bat. I love this movie. I really love this movie. It is, and this is a comparison I don't think is original. I think I've seen it online, but it is the Joker for women. It is a female-led Joker film. Like in terms of you're watching somebody who is going through, basically they're psychotic, they're mentally ill, and you're forced to kind of be uncomfortable for 2 hours and deal with them going to their breaking point. I thought she was phenomenal. I'm with Kinjak. I think this is she should be nominated at the end of the year. I don't know if she'll get that recognition, but I think this performance is as strong as you're going to get. She carried the movie on her back whole way through. Not that everything else is bad. It's just what the movie asked of her was to carry it from start to finish line, and she did that and more. Because the credits roll and she's still there, and you're having
rolling scene,
and you're having a staring contest with her while her tears flow down her face. I love this movie. Not aside from the acting performance, which clearly I'm a big fan of, the way it was shot to make it look like a Technicolor Wizard of Oz style film. I've never seen it's so heavily saturated. I can't think of another movie. Maybe Pleasantville did that in some ways, but I can't think of any other movie that has done that in recent memory that made it look just like a movie taken straight out of the 50s.
No one's captured it that same way, yeah.
I mean, it looked great. I loved the way it looked. I didn't realize they shot this in New Zealand.
Which is impressive, I think, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. I'd recommend seeing it. I think I did what I did yesterday was I saw Pearl, and then I saw Avatar re-release. Then I came home and watched X-Men, or not X, not X-Men.
Okay, I was gonna say. Interesting.
No, I'm thinking about like a horror X-Men, like with Pearl as a mutant. Very, very fun movie. Not nearly as gory, which I always appreciate horror movies that aren't extremely over the top gory.
Look, you managed to scare people without showing gore. I find it to be a tremendous accomplishment. Like
A24 setting parents on fire once again.
Yes.
This movie's fun. I think you can wait for it to release at home. I'm not sure you necessarily need to see it in theaters. I think horror movies always play better in theaters just because the sound design is such an important part to the plot. But this is a movie that
it's not like a jump scare movie though, right? Where it's like that, like a big part of that, like you're saying, like there's you get the visual scare and the audio scare, and you feel like it captures you right there.
Great score, by the way.
Really,
I like the score. The Mia Goth dance number, I had fun with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really did.
It's one of those things where like I understand not totally being engaged with the story. It's one of those things where like if it was anyone other than Mia Goth playing that role, I might feel the same way. But I just feel like her level, like the level she was on during this entire movie, really kept me in on it, and because I was like feeling that level of like anticipation and anxiety and stuff like that. And when she finally starts like freaking out, like it really, I think, hits a little bit different. And a lot of the actors and actresses, I think, helped a lot with that. Like the girl who played her sister-in-law, I thought was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Not Mindy.
I couldn't tell. She looked like Sarah Paxton to me. I kept trying to.
I was trying to figure out who she was too.
Yeah.
She was really good. I think again the mom was incredible.
Mom was great, and it provided
really
it provided a kind of a latching point for Pearl's character, because you're like, well, I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling, like maybe feeling like your parents don't believe in you, and like you feel like you're being held back in a certain way. You're like, okay, this is the hook for us. Like, I want Pearl to succeed and become a star.
Yeah.
But obviously things don't work out that well. But you can like kind of sympathize with her in that spot. So yeah, that character was great.
Yeah, and her keeping all the bodies in the kitchen like all like propped up and shit, and like
the grossest part of the movie though was easily the maggots, right?
oh the maggots.
The maggots. Anytime you see maggots on screen, it's fucking disgusting.
Some of my bugs, dude, they freak the fuck out. And I like that they kind of showed you the relationship with the gator, which obviously plays a big role in X as well. I thought that was kind of cool. Again, there's small things in this where it's
how long do alligators live?
I have no fucking.
Is that a special alligator?
Because that was an alligator in 1918 that was there until 1970 something. I don't know the average lifespan. It might be the son of that gator. I don't know how that works.
Lyle crocodile moment.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember? You know, what was another really gross scene when she was crushing the alligator eggs. You know what I mean?
Yes, the explosion.
The eggs. Oh, like that. A lot of that shit it just grossed me out. And there's a lot of different things, like little bits and pieces that I think Ty West threw in here, that were really scary. One of which being like the sound of skin grating on a tub is like so like kind of like hair raising. You know what I mean?
Like the squeaking noise.
Yeah, like the squeaking noise of like her in that scene in the tub with her dad like just sitting there kind of passed out. Like
Buddy's off the sauce.
Dude, he was slumped.
Dude, he was sauced up.
He was perped up right there. But but the sliding of the skin against the tub makes that noise that I think was really, really like just ooh. And I think that her back and forth with the dad was really creepy, especially because like you could see him like he can't do anything. Like that body horror, like being trapped in the spot, I think was really good. But yeah, just a lot of moments in this where I think that it excelled versus almost any other horror movie you'll see out there, and it's just very interesting. I'm happy A24 gave him the chance to do that because like that's another thing we mentioned in the interview is like they were about to start shooting right X, and then he's like, oh, what if you just write a script for another one and you just film it while we're here? And A24 was like nice enough to just be like, yeah, sure, just do it. And it worked out, and I'm happy it did. And I'm now even more pumped up to see Maxine, which will be obviously the sequel to X. But yeah, so I'm giving it a 90, what would you give it?
I'd go 92.
92.
There's
Chris?
no way this is the same alligator. They only live 30 to 50 years.
Yeah, different alligator. Where would you give it, Chris?
The more we talk about it, the more I do appreciate it. I mean, it's a slight recommendation in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
I mean, you guys know how I feel about horror movies, so for me, that's,
Me, trust me, I'm not a big horror genre guy either, but I think that the big thing is 95% of horror movies are doo-doo water. But that 5% is usually really good. There's not a lot of in between. I think Pearl's, in my opinion, in that 5% of like really good elevated horror.
Yeah.
And then you have other movies.
Other horror movies don't
Like The
have sex
Invitation.
scenes with scarecrows.
Yeah. That thing
that
was
was
scary as fuck.
man. I can't believe we went this far without not bringing that up.
Hey, buddy, I wish I didn't have a brain. Woof, woof.
I know, for real. The face on that scarecrow was scary as fuck though. That creeped me out.
I kept expecting it to like her
Come
to
alive.
like come alive. Like imagine it being alive.
Yeah. Didn't happen. Whatever.